My friends, I want to speak to you today from the depths of my heart. I want to tell you something the world may have tried to make you forget. You were born with a purpose. You see, there comes a time in every life when the call rings out. A call to rise up, to stand firm, to walk into the light of who you were always meant to be. And I believe that time is now. Maybe you've been knocked down. Maybe you felt unseen, unheard, forgotten. The world may have tried to dim your flame, to bury your voice. But I want to remind you tonight, there's still a fire inside you. You were not meant to live in the shadows. You were made to shine, and not just for yourself, but for others, for the broken, for the weary, for the world that's crying out for hope. Don't you know? Light was made for darkness. Purpose was made for pressure. You were shaped not just by your victories, but by every valley you've walked through, every tear, every trial. It was preparing you. And now it's your time. I'm not speaking to the perfect, I'm speaking to the willing, to the one who dares to believe that their life still matters, that no matter how many times they've stumbled, there is still a reason they're here. You may feel unqualified. You may say, oh, why me? But let me tell you, it's never been about perfection. It's about purpose, and the one who gave it to you has not changed his mind. So rise from fear, rise from failure, rise from complacency. And shine not with the light of this world, but with a light that cannot be hidden. With love, with boldness, with truth. Because this moment right here, right now, there comes a moment in every life when the silence becomes too loud, when the routine becomes too heavy, when the questions outnumber the answers and the soul begins to stir with a quiet ache that cannot be silenced by applause or distracted by noise. A moment when the heart begins to whisper, there must be more than this, and my friend, that whisper is not weakness, it is not confusion, it is not doubt. It is a divine invitation, a gentle knock at the door of your destiny, calling you to awaken from the sleep of comfort and the slumber of fear and step into the greater purpose that has always been written over your life. You were not placed here by accident, not assembled by chance or strung together by fate. For before the foundations of time were laid, before a single breath was drawn, a plan was spoken over you, a holy design crafted with care, etched into eternity. And though the world may have tried to bury that plan under the rubble of disappointment, under the weight of comparison, under the lies of a not enough, that purpose still burns, still waits, still calls, not with condemnation, but with hope. Not with shame, but with promise. Because what was planted in you was planted for such a time as this. And maybe you've wandered, maybe you've run, maybe you've sat in silence wondering if anything within you still matters, wondering if your voice still carries, wondering if the pain disqualified you or the failures defined you. But I want to tell you, no, I need to tell you that nothing you've walked through has been wasted, that the cracks in your story only make room for the light to shine through. And the very things you thought would destroy you have instead equipped you, shaped you, seasoned you for the season you are about to walk into. You see, purpose does not shout, it whispers. It does not arrive fully formed, it grows. It does not beg for attention, it waits for surrender. And sometimes it's not until you're broken that you begin to hear it, not until you're humbled that you begin to see it, not until you're empty that you begin to receive it. And what a wonder it is that in a world that chases perfection, it is grace that finds the imperfect, it is calling that finds the weary, it is destiny that finds the willing. Not the ready, not the qualified, just the willing. So wake up not just from your sleep, but from your doubt, from your fear, from your excuses, from the belief that your time has passed or your best days are behind you. Because as long as there is breath in your lungs, there is purpose in your steps. And though you may not see the whole path, you are not asked to walk by sight. You are invited to walk by faith, one step at a time, one act of courage at a time, trusting that what has begun in you will not be abandoned, trusting that the hand that started this journey will see it through. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too far gone. For the same fire that burned in the hearts of those who came before you burns in you now. The fire of truth, the fire of compassion, the fire of purpose, and it is not a flicker to be hidden or a spark to be dismissed. It is a flame that demands to be fanned, a light that refuses to be dimmed. And no matter how long it's been dormant, it can still roar back to life if you will only dare to believe again. And it starts not with achievement, but with surrender, not with striving, but with listening. Listening for the voice that calls not from the mountaintop, but from the quiet place. Not in thunder, but in stillness. Not with pressure, but with peace. And that voice is calling you even now. Calling you to rise, calling you to shine. Calling you to remember who you are and whose you are. Because purpose doesn't wait for you to be perfect. It waits for you to be present. So open your eyes, lift your head, still your soul, and lean in. Because what's ahead of you is not just another chapter, it is a whole new story. One marked by meaning, by courage, by clarity, by calling, and this is the moment. Not someday, not one day. This is the moment to awaken, to step into it, to take the hand of purpose and say yes. Yes to the reason you were made. Yes to the light you carry. Yes to the fire that refuses to die, because this is not the end. This is the beginning. This is the awakening. You were born for it. There is a light that does not come from applause, a light that is not powered by popularity, not fueled by praise, not dependent on the approval of others, but a light that burns from within. A sacred, steady flame placed in you by something greater than yourself. A light that no storm can extinguish, no darkness can overcome, no failure can bury. And though life may try to convince you otherwise, though voices may rise to tell you you're not enough, though shadows may stretch across your path and try to cloud your view, the truth remains that you were made to shine. You don't need a stage to shine. You don't need a spotlight. You don't need a perfect past or flawless record. You only need to remember that what lives in you is not ordinary, not common, not weak. It is the divine spark of possibility, the breath of purpose. The whisper of heaven itself reminding you that you were never meant to blend in, never meant to shrink back, never meant to be silent when the world needs your voice, your truth, your presence. Because the world is darker when you dim, colder when you hide, emptier when you retreat. And I'm here to tell you it's time to rise and let that light shine. And maybe you've been told you're too much or not enough. Maybe the world tried to put a lid on your light, tried to make you small, tried to make you doubt the very thing that makes you different. But let me remind you, friend, that your difference is your gift. Your uniqueness is your glory. Your story, even the broken parts, is not your shame, but your shine. Because people don't need perfect, they need real. They need light that's walked through darkness and still chooses to glow. Light that's been pressed but not crushed. Scarred but not silenced. Humbled but not defeated. It's not arrogance to shine. It's obedience to the calling inside you that says, don't hide who you are. That says you were made for this. That says, let them see me through you. Because when you shine, you're not pointing to yourself. You're pointing to something bigger. Something holy. Something eternal. And your light becomes the evidence that hope is still alive. That beauty can rise from ashes. That purpose still breathes beneath the surface, waiting for someone bold enough to believe again. So shine in the small places. Shine in the quiet moments. Shine when no one is clapping and no one is watching. Because your light isn't just for platforms. It's for people. The ones you pass on the street. The ones who've forgotten their own light. The ones who think they're alone in the dark. And maybe, just maybe, the way you speak, the way you love, the way you live is the lighthouse that will bring someone else home. And isn't that the most powerful thing? Not to shine for fame, but to shine for freedom. Not to be seen, but to help someone else see. And that light inside you, it doesn't burn out when life gets hard. In fact, it burns brighter when tested. It grows stronger when stretched. It deepens when refined. So don't despise the seasons that push you. Don't curse the moments that shake you. Because those very moments are shaping your glow. Oh, bun there. Sharpening your shine. Purifying your fire until it's no longer just for you, but for every weary heart that crosses your path and sees in you the proof that the darkness has not won. You don't have to force your light. You only have to allow it. Allow yourself to be who you are. Fully, freely, fearlessly, because there is nothing more powerful than a soul that refuses to shrink. Nothing more inspiring than a heart that refuses to grow cold. And when you let your light shine, you give others permission to do the same. You create space for courage, for healing, for awakening, and that's how change begins. Not with noise, but with light. So don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to be noticed. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because the moment is now, and the light is already in you. And the world is waiting not for perfection, not for polish, but for people who are willing to rise in the middle of the mess and shine anyway. Shine through the pain, shine through the doubt, shine with love, with truth, with boldness, because when you shine, you remind the world that light still wins. There is a moment in every life where heaven leans in and the clock of destiny begins to chime. Not with panic, but with purpose. Not with pressure, but with promise. And the sound is not always loud, not always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet tug in the soul, a stirring in the spirit, a fire that refuses to stay asleep. And in that moment, in that wholly unseen, undeniable moment, the truth becomes clear. This is the time. This is the hour, not tomorrow, not one day, not someday, but now. And the only question is not whether you are worthy, but whether you will claim it. Because appointed time doesn't wait for convenience. It doesn't arrive with certainty. It doesn't ask if you're ready or check if you feel qualified. It shows up clothed in faith, wrapped in risk, dripping with the scent of something bigger than you, and yet planted so deeply within you that it feels like a dream you've always had but never dared to speak aloud. And it is yours, not because you earned it, but because you were chosen for it, set apart for it, formed even before you knew how much it would cost or how much it would change you. And I know it's easy to look around and see everyone else stepping into their moment, everyone else rising, everyone else shining, and wonder if yours somehow passed you by, if maybe you missed it, delayed it, doubted it too long, ran from it too far. But I want you to hear this and let it pierce every lie that's ever haunted your heart. You have not missed your time, because the time that is appointed for you cannot be taken by anyone else. It cannot be lost in the crowd. It cannot be canceled by delay. And it cannot be denied by your mistakes. Because what was authored for you still belongs to you. And the enemy of your calling is not always failure. It is often fear that tells you to wait a little longer, fear that says you need more experience, fear that whispers you're not the one. But fear is a liar, and time does not belong to fear. Time belongs to purpose. And purpose is calling you to rise, not when everything makes sense, but when everything inside you knows that something is shifting, something is opening, something is unfolding that you were born to walk through. This is not the time to shrink, not the time to hesitate, not the time to rehearse your limitations or recite your regrets. This is the time to stand in the full weight of who you are, flaws and all, wounds and all, history and all, and say, here I am, not because you feel strong, but because you are finally willing to believe that your weakness does not disqualify you. It qualifies you to walk in grace, to lean into faith, to trust the timing of the one who has never been late. And when you claim your appointed time, you do not need to prove anything. You simply need to show up fully, honestly, boldly, because there is a space only you can fill, a purpose only you can carry, a generation that needs your obedience more than it needs your perfection. And when you step in, when you claim it, the very ground under your feet begins to shift, the atmosphere changes, and others are awakened by the sound of your yes. So claim it not with arrogance, but with authority, not with fear, but with fire. Because when the door opens, you don't knock again. You walk through. And when the moment arrives, you don't shrink back, you step forward. And when the time is now, you don't wait. Not because you have it all together, but because you finally believe that you were made for such a time as this. And this time is not just coming, it is here. And if you've been waiting for a sign, for a word, for confirmation that it's okay to begin, okay to rise, okay to run, let this be the trumpet in the distance, the fire in the bones, the permission your heart has been waiting for, because you have been appointed. You have been anointed, and your time is not in the future. Your time is not on hold. Your time has come, and all that's left to do is claim it.